Good morning.
Good
My name is
morning.
Dr. Jennifer Lee Disney, and I am honored to be here today with Betty Jean Ulmer McGregor, the 2009 South Carolina Mother of the Year and the 2009 National Mother of the Year. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, it's my privilege, and I think this is a great thing that you're preserving about our state and women.
Thank you, Betty. And it's an honor for me. You are the only national mother on our list of interviewees, and so we look forward to talking, learning more about you and about that experience of being named a state and a national mother. To represent our state at the national level is amazing. So let's get started first with some personal information about you.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about when and where you were born and raised.
I was born in Cameron, South Carolina, which is the prettiest little town in South Carolina. It's located on the Charleston Highway between Columbia and Charleston. It's 650 residents.
Wow. It's wonderful. Tell me a little bit about your family and your early childhood experience.
Okay, my father went to a business college. My mother went to Lander, and I think they were sweethearts a long time before they were married. But one of the things that when they got married, Daddy ran a grocery store, and Mama was a volunteer, but she organized a picking company in Cameron. So I grew up with some of these things in Cameron, and it was wonderful to be able to go down to the grocery store and get candy anytime I wanted to.
That's great.
I had two brothers, an older brother, 4.5 years older, and a younger brother, 8.5 years younger.
Wow, so you were the middle sister, a rose between two thorns.
You bet, and I was my daddy's pet.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Oh, goodness. Do you want to know anything about the school I went to?
I absolutely do.
Okay, Cameron School, and in my graduating class we had nine
Wow.
students, and we all went for higher education, which I think is a pretty good recommendation of the little school system I was in.
Absolutely.
One of the things games that we played was red light, green light. Now, see, that's before your time.
I remember red light, green light.
Okay, and one of the things I loved to do was dress up. And I think back, I must have been probably 5 years old. My friend and I dressed up. We had on high heels, we had on hats, we had parasols. That's what we called them, parasols. And we walked down to Main Street and hear the men sitting on the bench in front of the barber shop. And they said, "Oh, we have two new ladies in town." But we said, "They don't know who we are."
That's a great story. Is there anything else you want to share about your early childhood experience or about your education or your young adult life? Maybe your goals and dreams as a young woman?
Well, I had, one of the things as a young person, I went to camp. I was Methodist, and I went to camp every year, which I think was an interesting thing. And in high school, I played basketball. Of course, I was the shortest thing on the court, but you know, I was so dedicated. In my senior year, they even presented the medal to me because I was so dedicated.
That's wonderful.
We didn't even have a gym, and we practiced on a clay court. So Cameron has come a long way. But and when I finished Cameron High School, I was salutatorian, and then I went on to Columbia College from there.
What was your major at Columbia College, and what were your dreams, goals, and aspirations when you were attending Columbia College?
I majored in English with an elementary teaching, but I was I was very involved at Columbia College. I was editor of the newspaper, the Postscript. I was editor of that. My major was English, and I wanted to be a elementary school teacher, and I did my practice teaching in the 3rd grade, which was one of the best teachers in the school system. One of the things I did when I was at Columbia College, I went on a Methodist Youth Caravan. Now what that was, I was a junior, and in the Methodist Church they had a group of college students and one older person that we would train, and then we would go into different places, different cities and churches, and then we would work with the young people in that group. At most every church had a young people's group, and so we would go in and stay a week and work with them, and then we would move on to another one.
Wow.
And where we were assigned was Minnesota and Wisconsin, and our team was from New York and Louisiana and Texas, and of course South Carolina. What I do in Cameron, you have a little different accent. And I remember this guy in one of those places, Minnesota probably, he said, "I cannot understand a word you are saying." But that was really great. And then we would get back together as a group, entire group, and share our experiences. And one of the funniest things was they called on me to lead a little, what do you call it, a round. And I take my horse and take my thing, and I got them and said, "Take my horse." And they just broke down laughing, and I thought, why are they laughing? I started again, "Take my horse." And they just started laughing. Then I said, "Take my horse." But it was a great group. And one of the interesting things was that I sort of, you paired off every now and then with the opposite sex. So this guy from Louisiana and I got to be very good friends, and so I was going to invite him out to Columbia College and see what was going on in South Carolina.
That sounds very interesting. It's good to meet friends from across the country that way. Tell us about how you met your husband.
It was a blind date. At Columbia College, my roommate, my suite mate, was going with a Clemson guy, and so Sam was a Clemson guy, and she was going to get somebody to date Sam, and so he said when he saw me, he thought, "Gosh, she's not very big, is she?" But anyway, that's how I first met Sam.
Tell us about some of the activities you were involved in both before and after you were married in terms of family, education, work in the home, work outside the home, community, church, those kinds of things.
Okay. After I was married, I became very involved in the community. I did not teach. I was qualified to teach, but living in the community, they would not let me teach. So I never used my teaching abilities in the school system, but I did in other ways. One of the things that was important to me was when our children were older, they were involved in Cub Scouts, the Brownies, and these kind of things in the scouting system. So naturally I became the den mother and the mother that took the scout troops and things like this. So that was an important, and you know, one of the interesting things is one of my little boys that was in the scout troop, when I got the award for the Mother of the Year, he sent me a card. Now, we're talking many, many years ago,
Wow.
and said what a great Cub Scout leader I was.
Oh,
So I thought that was unusual that he
agree.
would remember me like that.
That's wonderful.
And I was involved, I joined Shandon Presbyterian Church, and Sam said, I was Methodist. Sam said, are you willing to be a Presbyterian? I said, absolutely not. I was kidding. But so I got involved with Shandon Presbyterian Church. The Garden Club of South Carolina, I was real interested in that, things that you did in Garden Club. And so I was a member of the Garden Club in Columbia and South Carolina. So I enjoyed that part of my participation into that. One of the things I really enjoyed, I belonged to a group that would meet international students at the University of South Carolina coming in, and we would meet them at the airport, and we would keep in contact with them in different ways to help show them some part of the South Carolina. One of the guys I met at the airport, I said, have you ever been to South Carolina before? And he said, no. And I said, well, I want to show you the best thing about South Carolina. On the way to the airport, we would pass Krispy Kreme donuts. So I said, we stopped at Krispy Kreme donuts. And I said, now you may choose 12. Well, the crowd began to develop around us, watching this guy finally decide on which 12 he wanted. So after he chose them and we got back to the car, he started eating one and said, boy, are these good. Then he started eating another one, and I said, whoa, you're going to get a sugar high. I said, no, I wouldn't eat any more right now. But that was really, being involved with international students was a great,
That's wonderful.
yes, experience for me. Of course, you always become, when you have children, you become a homeroom mother and get involved in the school system. And of course, I was with the Brownies and then moved up to the Girl Scouts and the Cub Scouts and these in the scouting program. So, because our children were in these things, and so that was one of the areas I really enjoyed being in. And of course, being from Columbia College, I was active in Columbia College Alumni Affairs and did that. One of the things that my mother started was, my mother was Huffman, and she started a reunion of all the Huffmans. And so this is one of the things that I think is tremendous, how families grow up and they move away from one another. You lose contact with one another. And in this way, we would, once a year, we would get together at a lake house and share what we'd been doing the past year.
That's wonderful.
So I thought that was a tremendous thing that she organized. Of course, I was really involved with the Garden Club of South Carolina. I was enjoyed that part, being involved with that, and I learned an awful lot. I never did excel in making arrangements, but I tried. But that was a great experience for me. Clemson Extension has always been a part of my life. Marrying a farmer, living just 6 miles from the city, I was pretty involved with Clemson University Extension and had some tremendous experiences with that organization.
Wonderful. Tell us about the early years of your marriage and the birth of your children.
Okay. Like I said, when Sam and I got married, it was really interesting because he said did I want to get married, or he wanted me to marry him? I can't remember exactly. But I was so shocked because I had already decided I was going to marry him. And I thought, and you didn't know this. But anyway, like I said, Sam was a blind date. When we got married, we weren't married very long before he was called in the service down at Fort Benning. And they said, do not bring any dependents because there's no housing available. Well, boy, you didn't tell a new couple that, so we bought us a mobile home, 25 feet, and away we went to Fort Benning, Georgia, in our little mobile home. And we were on the base, and of course, the base where we were on, there were a lot of young couples just like us, so it was a great experience. Our first child was born at Fort Benning. $8.75. That was a big price to pay, wasn't it?
Wow.
But so Fort Benning was a great experience for us. And then, of course, we moved to other places, but we always took our little home with us.
That's great.
Yeah.
How many children, tell us about all your children. How many children do you have? And if you want to talk through and tell us about what they do today and anything you want to share about your children, we want to hear.
Okay. We had 5 children. I wanted 3. Sam wanted 4, so we compromised and had 5. I'll have to say they were exceptional children. Lib, our oldest, is senior pastor at Davidson College Presbyterian Church. Let's see, Lib is a nurse down in South Georgia. Lib, Jean, Jimmy. Jimmy worked with ExxonMobil as a, what is the word I want to use, engineer. And he is retired and lives in Houston, Texas. And boy, we had some great experiences visiting Jimmy because he was stationed a lot of places. And so we had some great experiences visiting him in France and England and Scotland.
Wow.
So all that was great. Okay, Johnny, he's a professor at Clemson University. And you know, one of the interesting things he just told me, he said, he's in food science. He said, I learned how to cook from you. That was a complete shock.
Wow.
That I remember he was very interested in food. And when as a little boy, when we were in, I've forgotten which state we were in, and we were eating, and it was quiet. Now this is a group of adults. It was very quiet. And Johnny, who was 4, said, this is the hardest roll I have ever eaten. I said, he was destined to be in food science, wasn't he?
That's right.
But, and then let's see, Sam, he lives in Rock Hill, is a pastor at Allison Creek Presbyterian Church. And anyway, so we have 8 grandchildren. Wow. They weren't as prolific as their mother. And 3 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you must be very proud of all
I
of your
am.
children. It's wonderful. So let me ask you this. What does motherhood mean to you?
Well, God has given you many blessings. One of them are your children. One of the things that we were very fortunate, Sam and I have always just gotten along so well together. And our goals were the same. And we thought that children should have responsibilities early. I remember they used to set the table when they first started. They would set the table and things like this. And they would have a baby calf and take care of that baby calf. They would give it a bottle and feed it. And then the boys would work on the farm as they were growing up. They would do simple things like feed the little baby calves or something like this. Then they had responsibilities in the home too. One of the things was to empty the trash cans. Well, this was a tough job. And they would wait till Sam would be coming home and they would run out there and empty the trash cans. But they all have excelled in college and have just been an outstanding group of young adults. And
It's wonderful. You must be so proud.
oh, it was so blessed, so blessed.
What was it like to be named the South Carolina Mother of the Year?
It was a complete shock. When the organization that nominated me is with Clemson Extension. And so when I was selected, I was in Houston during Christmas. And I had this phone call, and it was somebody from the state mothers, and told me that I had been selected as the Mother of the Year. Well, it was a complete shock to me. And our son took a snapshot of me with my mouth wide open and all this. But it was quite an honor. And when they had the little ceremony at Columbia College, and I could invite some of my closest friends, and our children were there, and it was a very special thing for me to have my family with me. And I remember when I gave my little speech, and I said something about Sam and about our marriage and our family, and I said not only that, but he cooks breakfast. And they said, that is really the best thing I've ever heard. But it was it's why me? Why me? And I still don't know why me. I probably filled out a good form, didn't I?
You must have. Well, you raised 5 children. You're on a farm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of work. You did all these activities you shared with us earlier. I mean, how were you able to balance everything with working on the farm, working inside the home, working outside the home, working in the community, Clemson Extension, raising 5 children? How were you able to do it all?
Well, now, my job, I did not work on the farm. The only thing I did, I kept the books, which is my contribution. I kept the books. And I don't know that there was ever a problem because not having a paying job, I could do what I wanted to do and get involved. And I was just real blessed. And we lived next door to Sam's mother and daddy, which was a real blessing to me and to our children, that they would get to know grandparents and this kind of thing.
That's wonderful. And your husband was cooking breakfast, so that's a big help.
I'll tell you what, Sam and I have been so blessed in our marriage. I married the right guy, that's for sure. But
that's so important.
We've had so many wonderful experiences and so many outstanding experiences. He was named the National Young Farmer of the Year, and
Wow.
so we crisscrossed this country with his honor. And then when I received this, and he was my guest as we crisscrossed the country again.
Wow. So you both are national award winners.
Yes.
Tell us about what it was like to be named the National Mother of the Year, and tell us about that process. How do you go from being state mother to national mother? How does that work?
Well, it was a shock to begin with. When we went out to Portland, I believe it was, for the National Mother of the Year ceremony, and that group of women from all these states, I never felt any competition at all. We were all in the same category, and we shared experiences with one another. So when it was at the banquet when they announced the National Mother, and I was just overwhelmed. Why me? Why me? And I still, I shouldn't say this, but I still think the reason that I got it was my little speech. We had to do, each one of us had to give a 3-minute speech. And they had told us what the topic was. My family is a garden or something like that. And so we had to submit our speech to begin with and that kind of thing to the judges. So they had already seen the speeches. So when I got it, and we're talking 25 people listening to 3-minute speeches. Now, you know, that's exciting, isn't it?
We want to hear your 3-minute speech. Tell us what you remember about it.
Okay, well, when it, and it was really interesting. We would sit in a row right in front of the, where we spoke, we'd go up on the stage. And then somebody would get up and go speech, and they would go around. Then we'd all move down one. Anyway, when my turn came, and McGregor was at one of the last ones, and we knew it was 3 minutes, and they would buzz you if you went over 3 minutes. So it was about your life is like a garden or something. And when I got to say mine was different. I had written mine, started off like a poem, and it was, I said, Betty, Betty, South Carolina mother, how does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids all in a row? Oh, no. And then I went into my family, children, and what they did, and then I ended on a serious note. And then I said, and it happened to be my birthday, and I said, and since today is my, 75th birthday, clap, 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 clap. And so I start over. Today is my 75th birthday. I think it qualifies me to give advice. Be kind to your children. They may pick out your nursing home. So it was, I think, you know, if it was coming down, I think that speech was so different from what all the speeches were.
It sounds like it was very creative, and it really captured the audience.
I think it did.
If you have a copy of that speech or anything else from your year as National Mother that you would like to give
I have a
to
copy of
the
the
archives, we would
I
love
have
to
a copy
that.
of the speech, believe me.
We would love to have that
Okay.
in the archives.
I would love to share it.
Is there anything else you want to share about being state mother, about being national mother, about the governor's mansion? I think you went to meet the governor as well. I think you also have this beautiful sculpture you want to share with us. Anything?
Well, it was just an overwhelming experience. I never went out there as in competition. I went out there to share with other state mothers, and I became close to some of them, and we continued to be friends. It's just and I have a scrapbook that must be 10 inches thick, and I had so many congratulatory notes. And so one section is for being the state mother, and then there's a section for being the national mother.
Wow.
And it was just such an overwhelming experience for me, and to see these women from all across the United States that excelled in motherhood.
That's wonderful. Well, I just want to take a minute and say congratulations on being the 2009 South Carolina State Mother, and to be the National Mother of the Year for that year for South Carolina and representing the nation. It's quite an honor. Congratulations.
Yes, I really enjoyed it, and I think I made 30 speeches across across South Carolina and a couple outside of the state. But
Wow. Well,
anyway.
that's great. So that year you really utilized people in the state utilized your talents and wisdom of that year so that you could give speeches and give back and share some of your thoughts.
Well, I was honored that they would want to have me share my thoughts.
That's great. Is the sculpture on camera, or can you guys see that? So we make sure that everyone can see this, the beautiful sculpture that you were given. It's awesome.
This is especially designed for the National Mother of the Year. And so this is one of the things that I have that's helps me to remember what a great experience it was.
Thank you for bringing that today. That's beautiful. I want to ask you a few broader questions and tap into the wisdom that you're bringing with us today. What do you think are the most important issues facing women today?
You know, what, equal pay for equal jobs. I live in a Presbyterian community with a lot of old, they don't take it the wrong way, old people. Retired people is a better way to put it.
That's right.
And I asked them the same question because we come from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different things that they were employed in, that they have a different perspective than I probably do about things. That's one of the things that they all commented on, the salary difference between a man and a woman.
I think that's important. You talked about being able to kind of raise your children at home. And many women today seem to have to work outside the home for a wage and raise their children inside the home. And being able to balance that, work outside the home for pay, work inside the home, community service and other types of civic engagement. It seems really hard for women to balance those things. Do you think that women today, or women that are working and kind of trying to juggle all these things, may have a more difficult time balancing those things?
Oh, I would think so. It's hard for me to comprehend how you can have a family and do all the things that a family involves and being a part of their lives and to have a job outside the home. They're only 24 hours in a day. And I really am impressed how women are able to balance this. And I'm sure it's because of their spouse. I'm sure that makes a difference. Two people that share the responsibility. But I am so impressed now. One of the things that I had a blessing for was I had a mother-in-law next door. And so that was a real blessing for me too. But
I think you're right about the spouse as well. When you mentioned having a partner who's there to share all those things and all those responsibilities. And it sounds like you made a good choice and you found a partner who was truly a partner, that you all shared all the things that you were juggling and balancing. It seems like that's a really important part of being able, for women and men, to be able to do that.
oh yeah.
To be true partners.
And Sam and I just had such a wonderful relationship. He died 2 months ago, but we were just so blessed with one another, and shared so many wonderful experiences together, and never got mad at one another. It's unreal, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
But
we're so sorry for your loss. I'm so glad that you're still able to share all these wonderful memories.
Thank you.
Of your life.
And you know, one of the things that 4 years ago we moved to the Presbyterian community in Lexington. That was a major move because you sold your home, you sold the farm, and you moved to a different location, and you moved with a lot of neighbors. That I never had that many neighbors. When you have 200 neighbors,
right.
But it's really interesting to see people's backgrounds, because they don't, you meet them, but you don't talk about your backgrounds. One of the things that I do at the Presbyterian community is I interview the new residents. We have a pictorial directory, so we have a snapshot of the person being interviewed and their life. They fill out interesting things that way of their background. And to be able to see that, because you don't know that when you meet somebody. You're just amazed who's out there and
Wonderful.
the things they've contributed to make this a better world.
And that's exactly why we're doing this project. We want women, young women at Winthrop University to be able to have this kind of intergenerational conversation with older women, to learn about women from across the great state of South Carolina and different activities, and you know, the way work has changed and partnerships and all these things. So we're so honored that you're sharing your experience with us today.
Well, it's a great privilege for me to be able to share it with you.
Thank you. I want to ask, do you think women's roles as mothers are adequately recognized by society today?
Gee, that's a hard question to say. Well, I sometimes think that you're not put in the same category as a stay-at-home mom as you are in a working mom. I guess I'm saying that I think that working mothers, they have an occupation and are looked upon as something they're doing to contribute. And mothers that stay at home with their children, they are contributing too, because of their activities they are capable of doing, taking care of your children, scouts, garden club, all these outside activities that women that work probably do not have the opportunity to get involved in. So it's two roles you'll play in one. And the question was, if you think what now?
I meant to ask, do you think women's roles and women's work as mothers are adequately recognized by society? And you just kind of spoke to that beautifully. We tend to think of working moms as moms
right.
who work outside the home. Well, what about all the work that stay-at-home moms are doing? They're also working, but we often don't think of it as work. And I think that that's part of, you kind of got at that with your answer beautifully, the way that sometimes we don't recognize all the work that working mothers working inside the home are doing. All the activities it takes to keep that family successful and to raise those children to be productive citizens of society, and the scouts and the clubs and the den mother and the homeroom mother, all those things. And you seem like you've just captured that so well.
Well, I've been real blessed in my life. I was blessed as a child, having parents that showed love to me. And then as I went through school and college, experiences I had, I was blessed. Then when to choose the right guy, that's a real blessing. And the life that we had was different. But we had, one of the things that we did on the farm is we had a lot of school children. We were only 6 miles from the Veterans Hospital. And Sam they would come out, little school groups would come out. He'd show them through the dairy. And then they would come up in our backyard. He wanted to show them where milk came from, because they didn't know where milk came from originally. Right. And they would come up in our backyard, and we would have little cups of ice cream and give them and this kind of thing. So, you know, we've been blessed through the years to be able to reach out to other people, young and old.
And you've epitomized for me a lesson I've learned throughout my life doing oral histories and talking to women. I never ask a woman, do you work? Because all women work. So I ask, do you work inside the home, do you work outside the home, or both? And I think that all the work that goes into maintaining a family and being successful, I think you've helped kind of shed some light on the work that mothers do in the home. I appreciate that.
Oh, well, this has been a real privilege to me. And I think this organization that the mothers, state mothers, I think this is a wonderful group of where you recognize women. And it's been a real privilege for me to be a part of this and to experience these things. And I just feel it was a wonderful blessing and a wonderful honor for me and my family.
Thank you so much. Before I let you go, I have one more question for you. What does feminism mean to you?
Well, I hated you were going to ask that.
When you hear that word, what does
Oh,
it make you think of?
me, I was afraid so. Well, it may be that we live in a society where maybe women are defending themselves. We have like two categories you could be in: stay at home and get involved in the community and activities. Then also you are a working mother, and but I do not put men down. I do not do that. I hope men don't put women down.
That's right.
But sometimes I think that we're faced with that problem.
With either side, putting the other side down.
Correct.
Not giving people the respect or the dignity that they deserve.
Right.
I agree with you. Let's hope we are creating a world through our children and grandchildren where women and men give each other equal respect, equal dignity, have equal access to opportunities, equal pay that you mentioned earlier.
I think I can say amen to that.
I think I could say amen to that too. Do you have any questions for us or anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, I would just like to say one more time what an honor and a privilege it's been to be nominated on the state level and, of course, the national level. But, without this organization, I would never have had this opportunity to be a part of this part of my life. And I really do appreciate all that you've done.
Thank you so much. We are so honored. I'm so honored that Martha Cranford and Shirley Fishburne brought me into this project so that we could create this oral history project that will be housed at the Louise Pettis Archives at Winthrop University. We'll be able to share this interview and the others that we're doing. And so thank you for giving us your time and sharing your experience with us. And congratulations again on being South Carolina and National Mother of the Year for 2009.
And thank you for all you've done
Betty G.
to
McGregor.
preserve this.
Thank you so much.